This was my 1961 Nash Metropolitan. Had it for approximately 20 years. Had the first couple of years doing the fixing up and trying to get it going. Paid a whopping $200 for it. And life took a big turn and sat on my grandmother's carport for the next 17 years, and got it back last year, year before last, and actually got it to start. There's lots more things to get done. It's pretty much where I left it last summer. Pulled all the spark plugs, shot some fogging oil in there, put it down the carburetor while it was running until it died, and those magnets there, that oil cap is missing one of the tangs that tightens it down, and well, that big magnet on there helped keep it from rattling around when it was running. It's a pretty cool car. It was it's American Motors, but it was built by Healy in England. Made in England. And I got the maintenance manual on it, and it's pretty incredible how just about every single stinking component on this car is rebuildable. From speedometer to fuel pump, rebuilt that last year. Put new spark plugs in it. That cap and rotor punch condenser, I've never done anything to that other than clean up the contacts, and it worked. And that's the fuel pump. It's a pretty neat thing. Now, if you hadn't run it in a long time, it's supposed to have a wire lever here where you grab the loop and pull up on it, and it pulls up, and this actually operates the diaphragm. So the theory behind that was that you could prime it with gas after it hadn't been run, so you didn't run down your battery, because back in those days batteries weren't very strong, and so to keep from running your battery down, you could prime the carburetor full of gas, pulling up on that. There's about 5 gallons of gas in the tank, less what I use just running it here. I'd put some gas stabilizer in it, and that fuel line there, that is a new rebuilt. It's only about a foot long. Connects down there. I don't know if I can get you down there. Anyway, it connects right there to a hard line that goes all the way to the back to the gas tank. And that line, it was original to the car. Had the rubber inside had collapsed, so no fuel could go through it. So I sent it off to a place that specializes in these cars, and for $80 I got a new rebuilt one. Traded in had to send in my old one to get that one. Kind of expensive for a short little piece, and so is everything else. And this is where I ended last year. The clamp that holds that exhaust on down there. Put stuffed a rag in there to keep the critters from going up in there. That one that was up in the manifold fell out, I guess. It's not there. Hopefully no critters went up in the manifold. It's 3-speed on the column. It's got grease zerks everywhere on this car. Some I didn't even know about until I got the manual. That is the starter switch. Got a cable that's on the dash that you pull to engage that starter switch, and engages the starter, and works pretty good. It's negative ground, or positive ground. Everything's positive ground on this. So it first, 20 years ago, that was the first thing that I killed, was the voltage regulator. And last summer I got a guy told me, who also works on antique vehicles, said stop thinking of it as positive and negative, and just think of it as hot wire and ground. Don't think about positive, negative, just hot and ground. And that turned everything around in my logical brain to stop thinking illogically. That one is not. That one is functioning. That had to redo some wiring. They had wired around that original fuse block, and it took all that junk off and used some JB weld and repaired the base, because it was broken, and held real well. The wiring is original, pretty chewy in places, but nothing is bare anywhere. It's the brake light switch. Doesn't have any brakes on it because it's old and seals are all shot, and has a hydraulic clutch also, slave cylinder, and it needs to be rebuilt. I got my main goal was to get it started, and once I got it started, then I got incentive. That is the heater box. So specs on it. It's completely rebuildable. All the components in it. I just had a towel over the carburetor. Rebuilt it 20 years ago. Put a kit in it and took it apart. Just had slightest little bit of sediment in the bowl, and it cleaned right up. A little gooey. Not sure where that came from under there. He doesn't smell. See it from under there. Maybe just be seeping from around that bowl. Or maybe where I squirted oil on everything, like the manual says. Maybe just leftover oil. But thank goodness didn't have to rebuild it again. The accelerator pump and everything worked well on it. That little bulb looking thing has to do with the vacuum line for the spark advance on the carburetor. It goes all the way. I don't know if that was factory or somebody broke it, but got a rubber tube on it to repair, and there's the spark advance. Yeah, it's a weird kind of spark coil, but it still works. So I'm not going to mess with that anytime soon. Has a canister oil filter on it. Changed that last year and made a huge mess when I was just turning the engine over to cycle the new oil through it, because it had 20+ year oil in it. And that's the cylinder. At the top there is a seal, rubber, or a square rubber ring, and if you don't pull the old one out and you put the new one in there and you screw it all back together again, it leaks like a sieve. Lesson learned. Even if you can't see it, stick your hands up in there and feel for it and pull it out. Once I took it apart, I still didn't see it until I took like a dental pick tool I've got and reached up in there and caught a hold of the edge of it and yanked that old sucker out. Then put it all back together again. I lost a quart of oil down there. Luckily some of it hit the drip pan, but most of it didn't. And cycled the engine again, pump oil, clean oil through it, and reconnected the coil, and off it went. And then I had the coil backwards. It has a positive and negative terminals on it, and I had it backwards. So once I switched it, got spark. Imagine that. So, and that generator was brand new, but it never worked because I shorted that guy out and couldn't polarize it. So this year, or last summer, got the new one on there, and I took a wire from that lead there, which is the hot wire or negative post, but you can't think that way, you just say hot wire, and connected that wire to the field wire, which is that guy right back there. Pulled that wire off, and when I touched it, it popped. So I did it 2-3 more times, make sure. Reconnected that wire, started it up, and gauge came alive on the dash and said it was charging. First time ever since I've had this car. Thought I had a bad generator, but I didn't know how to polarize it. So I left the battery on all winter. Texas winters are all that bad, but sometimes they are. Luckily we didn't have too bad a winter. And yeah, that's an adjustment to advance the timing. That little thumb wheel down there. Pretty neat how everything's so easy and accessible. That is a valve to drain the block. That's the oil pressure sending unit. That pipe is oil. I don't know if that puts it in or pulls it out. I don't know if that's a supply line or return line. Not sure. I replaced the water pump on it 20 years ago, and it's a little bitty thing. Get a different angle. There we go. And it still worked. And per the instructions, there's a place you're supposed to oil the water pump, but this one has different kind of sealed bearings in it, so you don't have to oil it, and that's nice. But that generator, you do. And that little hole back there, you're supposed to add a few drops of oil every couple thousand miles. Since it's new, I think there's a shorter schedule for the break-in period. And kind of hard getting an oil can in there. You're supposed to use 30-weight non-detergent oil, and I've got an oil can, a little pump type oil can with a little long hose on it, and so I can put that hose down in there and pump the oil in there that it needs. Makes it real easy to pinpoint the oil with that little hose adapter I put on there. It's pretty neat. But I got a new power washer for my birthday this year, thanks to my wifey, and I'm going to be using that here in a little bit to clean up that engine bay, get all the gradu off of it. A couple of ice cream mixers. That one's a 6 quart, and that one's a 4 quart. Motors for it, same motor. Good old White Mountain ice cream makers. It's past due to clean them up and get them going. That bad boy puts out 3,000 psi at 2.7 gallons per minute. It's just the water. It's stripped my driveway. That's all that black crap is what it used to look like. You can see the difference. Did a pretty good job. So anyway, I'll start this back up after I get the engine bay all cleaned up. Get all the spider webs and ages of crap off of it. I'm not going to use the full 3000 psi on there because it has a tendency to rip the paint off, as you can. Yeah, I was washing the driveway and I decided to get some bugs off the wife's car, and you can see that yeah, it takes the paint right off. So, lesson learned. Don't do that. Okay guys, shutting that off.